Today, I have a review of the YSF thermoformed paddle from 11six24. The owner said he got his company name because he wants to guess the exact number of jelly beans in a jar, 11,624. Ever since then, that has been his number. In this video, I'm going to share my opinions about this paddle. I also wanted to do something a little different, so I'm going to be comparing this paddle to the paddle I've been using for almost a year, the Xspak, which is exactly the same as the original Carbon 1. Anyways, enough talking, let's get into the video. Alright, so this paddle is Raw Toray T700. The length is 16.5 inches. The width is 7.5 inches. The weight is listed as 7.8 to 8.3, however mine came in at 8.5. The handle length is listed as 5.3, however when you measure it this way it's more like 5 inches. The core thickness on this paddle is 16 millimeters. The grip size is 4.125 inches. It is, of course, thermoformed and has foamed edges. For the Xspak, the specs are as follows. It is Raw T700 surface. The length is 16.5 inches. The width is 7.4 inches. The weight is 7.8 to 8.3 inches, which mine did originally come in between, but I have it weighted up to 9.4. The handle length is 5.5, which you can see compared to the 11six24, it is much larger. The core thickness is 16 millimeters, and the grip size is a little bit bigger at 4 3/8. The spin on this paddle is very good. I definitely noticed more shape on my shots, especially my serve. However, I think the difference in spin between the top paddles is pretty minimal, but you will get great spin from this paddle. In terms of control, I first wanted to explain what I mean by control. For me, control is two things. First, how easily you're able to hit touch shots. Second, does the ball go where you expected it to based on how you hit it? To be honest, coming from the Xspak, which is a very soft paddle and control-oriented paddle, this paddle was a bit difficult for me to control at first. My first game with this paddle, I hit a lot of pop-ups, but eventually it got better and better. I've been hitting with it for about a week now, and I feel that my resets and dinks are back to normal. If you are a control-oriented player though, don't stop watching just yet. There are some reasons why I think this could be your next paddle. So in terms of power, that is definitely where this paddle shines. It does an excellent job of giving great power, which when I say that, I mean the ball comes off the surface of the paddle very quickly, right? That's how I define power. So you can definitely feel the ball coming off the paddle face a little quicker. It's a bit more firm, which is why it's a bit harder to dial in your dinks and your drop shots and resets. But once you do, the power that you get from hands battles and speed ups and combined with the spin, speed ups are very easy. You have nice power on the speed ups, spin helps keep it in. This paddle feels very good from the kitchen line and hands battles and stuff like that. So if you're a control oriented player, I would actually recommend this paddle for you because you can get that power upgrade to your game, and if you are already good at control, you can control this paddle with a little bit of time, but that gain in power that you get it's hard to recreate that. In terms of customizing this paddle, it came in a bit heavier than it originally said. I talked about that earlier, but for me that was actually good. It came in at 8.5. I like a pretty heavy paddle. I weighted it up to about 9.4. I placed the lead originally around the throat. However, it was a bit easier for resets and stuff like that, because normally the paddle is sideways. So I moved the lead up a little bit, which increased the sweet spot just a little bit. It was already a good sweet spot, but it increased it a little bit more, and also gave me a bit more control on my resets. In terms of the spin for the Xspak, I originally felt like it was top tier. Very, very good spin at first. I've been playing with it for about a year now. The paddle has gotten softer and it has also lost some spin. That's just what happens to these types of carbon fiber paddles as they get older. So if you know, we're comparing apples to oranges a little bit, but if we're comparing a brand new Xspak or Carbon 1 to a brand new 11six24 YSF thermoform paddle, I think they'll be pretty close to the same. They both have great spin. For control, the Xspak and the Carbon 1, the Gen 1 style of paddles, they're typically great control paddles, and the Xspak, the Carbon 1, is no different. They're very good control paddles. They feel great on dinks and resets and stuff like that. I felt like my reset and my defense was probably at its best with the Xspak. Like I said, I've been playing with the 11six24 paddle for a while now, about a little over a week, and the control shots are a lot easier now, but it's still pretty easy to overhit if you're not paying attention. So I would give the upper hand in control to the Xspak or the Carbon 1. Any Gen 1 paddle is usually going to be a bit softer, especially as it gets older. It's going to get softer. So my year-old Xspak paddle is pretty soft at this point. In terms of power for the Xspak, that's really where it lacked. I think any Gen 1 paddle is going to lack a bit of power from the kitchen line. I ended up putting some lead on the top of the paddle as well as 3 and 9. So the 3 and 9 kind of increased the sweet spot a little bit, and the top increased the power by a little bit. So that's where I placed the lead on the Xspak, and that helped with power. So here are my final thoughts, kind of the conclusion, and a short pros and cons list for each one, starting with the 11six24 paddle. The pros are great spin, very good at the kitchen line, lots of power. The ball feels firm off the face, it feels fast in the hands. The cons, however, are the control is a little hard to dial in. Not impossible. It feels good once you get it down. You really have to work less, which is kind of nice, but you can often overhit. Another con is the handle size. It said 5.3 inches. The usable grip length was really more around 5 inches. And for me, I don't even have that large of hands, and it was a bit difficult to get 2 hands on there. I kind of had to slide my right hand to where it was off of the end of the paddle a little bit to be able to fit my left hand on. So I would have liked to see a little bit more of the elongated shape on the YSF 11624 paddle, but overall it's a great paddle, especially for this price. I haven't even said the price yet. This paddle is $120, and if you use my link down here, you can get $10 off. So that brings it to $110 for a thermoformed paddle, foamed edges, great power, great spin, really a great deal on this paddle. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link here and down in the description below, of course. But yeah, this has been my review of the 11six24 YSF thermoform paddle, as well as the Xspak and the Carbon 1. Thank you.